Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Steven from NWSmallBatchBrewing, of course, because you're here, right? You knew that. Today is a little bit of a brew talk sort of story. So I found an interesting article, and I think this question is a valid question that they bring up in an article. So the article, I'll put the link in the description, but it's from Outside Magazine. Cheers, by the way. So, Outside Magazine is like a hiking magazine, outdoor magazine, backpacking. It's a cool magazine. I like it. But there's an article that basically said, is home brewing worth it? Is it worth it? Basically, there's kind of two sides of the argument. The cons are that it's very messy. I can claim to that. My last brew day just this past weekend, I have this recycling wort, and when it comes back in through the top of the claw hammer system that I have, it has like a spray nozzle. It's great, except when you forget that it's turned on, and you lift it to put your, say your first edition or your second edition hops in. You don't realize that it's still spraying. You lift off the top, and all of a sudden you're shooting boiling hot wort, spraying out all over the place. And now you're cleaning up for the next few hours. So it's messy. Even when you try to be clean and careful, it's messy. You have frustrations, right? When it doesn't turn out the way you expect. No matter how many times you make, a beer, you can end up with weird results you didn't expect. It doesn't turn out good. Maybe there's an infection. Maybe it didn't ferment to the right temperature. Who knows, right? There's a million things that can mess it up. And then the expense. Now, some people are going to disagree with me on this, but my experience, for me personally, is it is not any cheaper. In fact, it might be a little bit more expensive to make your beer at home yourself. You're not really saving any money. Now, I think probably if you're doing all grain and you're doing one kind of beer every time, and you're doing like a Pilsner or something, where you're buying a giant bag of grain, so you're buying it in bulk. Maybe you're even able to buy your hops in bulk for the entire year or something like that, direct from like Yakima Valley, that sort of thing. You're reusing your yeast. There are ways to cut corners. So yeah, I suppose that you could save money if you're just making a straight lager, nothing fancy, and you're really working hard at, finding ways to cut costs. But I don't think you're going to save a whole lot of money. And so for me, at least, I've found that, it can cost up to like $50 for a 5-gallon batch of beer, whatever you're making. And obviously that varies depending on what kind of beer you're making, what you're putting into it, but just on average. So I just don't see it as a cheaper option. So that's the cons as to, is home brewing even worth it? I mean, can you even match the quality of craft beer, right? There's a million, okay, maybe not a million. I'm just saying there's a lot of, craft breweries. And there's so many craft breweries actually that I think that it's oversaturated, and that's why, at least part of the reason why they're closing down. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think about this. It's a little off topic from this, but not quite. It's the fact that I see businesses, breweries included, but in general, claiming bankruptcy. I just read an article today that TGIF Friday's restaurant just claimed bankruptcy. There's all these stores and restaurants and whatnot just shutting down. And when are asked what happened, they give this answer, well, we just could not recover from COVID. And I just don't buy it. How long have we been? It's been years since the actual pandemic, right? The full blown where we were locked up in our houses. Surely that had an effect. However, I find it hard to believe, like, how long can you hang on to that excuse as to why your business failed, right? 10 years later, are you still trying to claim it's because of that COVID incident? Anyway, that's just me. I mean, I feel like maybe it's something else going on there. So these breweries that are closing, I don't think you can claim it's from COVID. I think the breweries are closing. They may have bad business models. They just may not be good at advertising. Their beer might not be very good. Sometimes it's the wrong market, man. It used to be that you could just open a brewery that just sold beer, like a tap house, and people would flock and go there because of the great beer. Now you can get great beer everywhere, and so people have aged as well, right? So people who got into beer earlier now have families and children, and they want to go somewhere where they can have a meal, but something that their children will like while they can enjoy some of the good beer. Not the children, the adults. But, you have to think about your audience, right? But anyway, that's not the point of this article, which is can you make as good a quality? I think you can make a better quality beer than most beer that you buy that's craft, especially if it's a hoppy beer, because you're never going to get a beer fresher than the one you make at home. There's no, unless you're putting in some kind of, preservatives. There's no preservatives. It's all natural. You know exactly what's in it. Also, there's the benefit of yeast. Now, I know it sounds crazy because, of course, they use yeast in the craft breweries, but they oftentimes pasteurize their beer or filter it because they want it to be as clear as possible, right? No fogginess, unless it's, of course, a hazy IPA. And in those cases, you're not really getting a lot of yeast. There's some, but not much. But a homebrew is going to have significantly more yeast in suspension. And that's actually good for you, right? The vitamin B is healthy for you that's in that yeast. And it can actually help curb hangovers. Now, I don't know if this is, urban legend or not, but they say that hangovers are less of a problem with homebrew because of the extra yeast that has that vitamin B in it. I am too old to drink like that, so that's not an experiment that I'll be doing anytime soon. I'll just have to take the word of the younger people. But honestly, we put it all together. I don't think, it's about the cost, right? You're not making beer at home to save money. Not really, right? At the end of the day, when you consider how much it costs to make your beer, the expense, maybe sharing it with friends, making experiments, that's what brewing is about, right? You can make anything you want. You're not just stuck with specific, beer judge certification guidelines. You're not stuck with selling or making a beer that will sell, even if it's not one that you're really all that excited about. You can make anything you want. You can experiment. You can split your batches. That's what homebrewing is fun, because there's no limit to what you can do at home. However, at a craft brewery, you do have limits because you still have to sell that stuff at the end of the day. I'm going to sort of end this here with a quote from Charlie Papazian. If you're not sure who that is, he's an author, brewer. I think he was the head brewer, or maybe even he was the president, I'm not sure, of New Belgium Brewing, I believe. Somebody correct me if that's not right. He was definitely in charge of a brewery. But anyway, I think he's the one who wrote that Brewing Bible. So he's very well known, right? He's well known for his ideas. And when asking Charlie, not me personally, but when he was asked, why would you brew beer? Why brew beer? And his answer was simply, why not? Why wouldn't you? So I'm going to leave you with that. I'll be back in another week for another homebrew and another talk and another whiskey on Sundays. And until then, keep on brewing.